This is Newsbeat from OU Daily. I'm Megan Pratt. Here are your weekly headlines. OU announced 5 candidates who will interview to be the next dean of Gaylord College. OU journalism professor Mike Boettcher interviewed Monday through Wednesday. Boettcher spoke to a small group of OU community members on Tuesday, outlining his vision as dean of Gaylord College. During the meeting, Boettcher confirmed that he does not hold a bachelor's degree, but he feels he has gained leadership abilities through his work as a foreign correspondent. Boettcher said as dean, he plans to create bureaus in Los Angeles and New York, expanding AI research, collaborating with rural Oklahoma newsrooms, and bringing Gaylord College to a national scale. David Perlmutter, former dean of professor at Texas Tech University, arrived on campus Wednesday and will be at OU until Friday. Ahead of the arrival of a new dean, Gaylord College has hired an external consultant to assess its workplace climate, according to an email sent to faculty and staff last Wednesday. Interim Dean David Craig invited Maura Kelly, president of Kelly Consulting, and self-described quote-unquote dispute doctor to survey Gaylord College's workplace, including power imbalances, conflict, morale, and relationships. Last Wednesday, dozens of OU students and community members marched in memory of Benedict, a non-binary student whose death sparked a nationwide movement for 2S LGBTQ+ rights. Demonstrators marched down OU's campus through Main Street and ended at Andrews Park. At Andrews Park, approximately 100 people listened as dozens of speakers took the stage to remember Nex and implore those in attendance to fight for 2S LGBTQ+ and Indigenous rights. Moving to the city, a federal lawsuit filed January 25th claims Cleveland County Detention Center staff recklessly disregarded Shannon Hanchett's constitutional rights and contributed to her in-custody death amid a mental health crisis. Hanchett ran a bakery in downtown Norman and was affectionately known as the Cookie Queen. Hanchett was arrested at an AT&T store on November 26, 2022, on a complaint of misdemeanor obstruction and false reporting. The arresting officer stated that Hanchett suffered from a mental health disorder. Jail staff found Hanchett unresponsive on the floor of her jail cell on December 7th, and she was pronounced dead about 1 a.m. on December 8th. The lawsuit claims Turnkey Health Clinic's contract with the sheriff's office disincentivized staff from seeking more urgent care. To read more on this story from Oklahoma Watch, visit oudaily.com. Since 2014, point-in-time counts found increases in those experiencing homelessness in the Norman and Oklahoma metropolitan area. Point-in-time counts are used to identify gaps in services provided to people experiencing homelessness in cities across the U.S. and determine the amount of federal resources provided to the county. Lynn Bloom, executive director of Thunderbird Clubhouse, an organization dedicated to providing resources for adults living with mental illness, said many people don't understand the complexity of homelessness. Here's Bloom discussing homelessness in Norman.
There's this element of some people think people want to be homeless or they use the system to stay homeless. And everybody that I talk to that's on the street, they want a warm place to sleep. They want to be housed. They just have barriers and other things keeping them from being housed at this moment.
To read more, visit oudaily.com. In state news, a letter sent last Wednesday to the Oklahoma Legislature, signed by over 350 individuals, civil rights groups, and 2S LGBTQ+ organizations, called for an investigation of the Oklahoma Department of Education and the impeachment of State Superintendent of Public Instruction Ryan Walters. The letter was organized by Freedom Oklahoma, GLAD, the Human Rights Campaign, and GLSEN, following the death of Benedict, a non-binary student from Owasso. The organizations wrote in the letter that Walters has caused a, quote, culture of violence and hate against the 2S LGBTQ+ community in Oklahoma schools, end quote. According to GLAD, the letter calling for Walters' removal has been signed by a variety of local and national organizations, as well as some public figures, including Demi Lovato and Kristen Chenoweth. Let's look at the Daily's calendar for coming events this week. On Friday, Women's Health Advocacy are hosting its second annual Menstrual Met Gala to raise awareness about period poverty and menstruation. On Friday, the big event will be throwing a block party with free food, live music, and a bouncy house in the Cross Courtyard. On Saturday, Campus Activities Council is holding OU Dance Marathon to raise money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Check the calendar tab on our website, which features campus, city, and statewide events. Thanks for listening to Newsbeat from OU Daily. This is the Daily's weekly news podcast. New episodes of Newsbeat will air every Thursday. In between episodes, keep up with us throughout the week on Facebook at OU Daily and Instagram and Threads at the OU Daily. Sports fans, be sure to check out the OU Daily Sports Podcast for the latest in sports and commentary. If you want to read more about the stories you heard on this podcast, you can find those and more online at oudaily.com. I'm Megan Pratt. I'm a news reporter here at The Daily, and I'll see you here next week on Newsbeat.